Winter Roses, Autumn by Fairytalelovr, Chapter 27. Missandei wiped Danny's brow as she relaxed against the wall. They had arrived in Volantis the day before, and, since it would take longer than overnight to load the supplies for the voyage around the Valerian Peninsula, Mira had decided the higher officers would enjoy time ashore. That, and he was starting to worry his golden prize would die before they reached their destination. Danny was fading away, growing thinner and thinner as she couldn't keep any food down. And now even a fever had set in. "Your Grace, I swear I will not tell them," Missandei said. "But is it possible that you are pregnant?" Danny snorted, weaker than a kitten. This had been her first real chance to escape, the first time she had left her golden cage in the ship, but she was too weak to walk over to the bed, let alone run away from sellswords. "It's not impossible," she said, remembering and yearning for the nights John would take her to bed, and they would fall asleep exhausted in a mess of sated limbs. "But I've had 3 babies already, and I've never felt this sick, or any sick at all. It's only the lack of moonblood that allows me to know." Missandei nodded, choosing to keep to herself the fact that they had been at sea for over a moon now, and the princess had not bled yet. "It's the food," Danny went on. "I've travelled by sea before, and I've never been this seasick. And we've been ashore for over a day. It has to be the different food." "Tell me how Westerosi food is made, and I will make it for you, Your Grace," Missandei said, truly anxious. She liked Danny, and she wanted to protect her. There was a knock from the door, and Araya came in. "You!" Danny said. "They brought you too?" "Don't get up, my lady," Doreah said, rushing to her side. Danny put a hand to her face. "You've been beaten. Who did this?" "I'm a whore, my lady," Doreah said. "Men sometimes get violent. I'm used to it." Danny felt another wave of nausea overtake her at the words, but she only dry heaved over the chamber part. "Why would they keep you away this long?" she asked once she relaxed against the wall again. "I don't know. The captain has me locked in his chambers, though he shares me with the officers sometimes. He hoped you'd get better now that we're on dry land, but you haven't. I've made a broth. I'm not much of a cook, but I tried to make it the way you had it back home." "I can't," Danny croaked. "I can't eat anything." "Your Grace, you haven't eaten properly in days!" Missandei exclaimed. "Doreah, were you awake when we left? What happened to the castle? Lord Starling and the children? And the others?" Doreah lowered her head, genuine tears falling. She had actually been glad that Mero had kept her away, though she didn't care much for being used as the captain's whore. But she had been dreading this conversation, because she knew her life depended on this answer. Mero wouldn't hesitate in killing her, after he had the whole crew rape her, most likely. "Lord Starling was in the room with us, milady. So they had already gone through Ghost. We passed by Lady and Lady Lyanna on the way. Lady Christark not much farther. I only saw the door to the nursery, but Eerie tried to run away with Lord Aemon, but they only made it as far as the stables. Lord Christark tried to stop them taking you, but he was outnumbered, even when Sir Davos brought more men. The blacksmith tried to hide Lady Arya, but she wouldn't stay put. The only one who made it out was Lady Sorella." There was a commotion out of the door, which opened after a moment. "Archmaester!" Danny greeted. "I'm so sorry!" "Nonsense," Marwyn said. "Girl, fetch me mustard seeds and lavender roots, now! And get me a bloody healer with a bunch of potions if you can. I need to work." Doreah nodded and left in a hurry. "Lavender roots don't cure a bad stomach," Missandei said, but she was smiling. "I like you," he said. "You know Volantis?" he asked, but she denied. "Too bad. That would have made it easier. Now I know that at least Alaris made it out, whatever it was we saw from the boat with the castle in flames. So I expect she'll have sent a raven to her father, and hopefully the Dornish will be after us. The Stark certainly will. This is our chance to get lost in the crowd and wait for rescue. You can't. What do you... Please, Lady Starling, be reasonable. I was graced with 2 eyes and a reasonable intellect. I won't deny that she did fool me in the beginning, but she's been at my sides long enough. But I find it hardly amusing, actually. Why would she be kept from learning just because she lacks a cock? Danny chuckled. You are certainly a different kind of maester. I take pride in that. Now, then, this sickness of yours, can it be a little dragon wolf on the way? He asked. It's not impossible, Danny shrugged. But I was just telling Miss Sandy. I've never been this sick before. I am sure Lady Christog would agree with me that every pregnancy is different from the last. Marwen felt her forehead. You're running a fever. You need more potions than what I have, and you need longer ashore. The captain won't like that, Missandei murmured. I doubt a sellsword captain woke up one day and decided to capture a lady halfway across the world for the fun of it. The Archmaester sneered. He was hired to do it, and I doubt his patron will pay him if Lady Starling dies on the way. You look after her, and I will try to prevail on the captain's good nature. I'm not sure he has one, Grand Maester, Danny said. Well, however much I might share your opinion, I must try. Missandei helped Danny to the bed and nursed her forehead for a long time, until the Archmaester returned with Dario. Is she awake? Marwen asked, and Missandei shook her head. I'll carry her, Dario said. Bloody hell, she's burning up, he exclaimed once he lifted Danny in his arms. As I was explaining to your captain, Marwen said. Come on, let's go. You're coming too, Missandei, Dario said, and they left the inn, surrounded by other sellswords, and walking with a bit of difficulty through the busy and paved streets of Atlantis. Once they turned to walk into the Red Temple, a lone figure following them lost himself back in the crowd. He had much to report. Arya grinned, glad she had taken off her boots in the corridor, setting them aside, and tiptoeing her way to the narrow cot in the back of the forge. Anywho, she basically starts kissing Gendry. It's not the full thing, I think. I'm not reading that. Ned forced himself to stand as still as a statue, refusing to let a leg twitch or give any other kind of emotion. First, Cersei Lannister was on her way to King's Landing without warning or announcement, and now Jaime Lannister asked for an audience. It didn't bode well. Jory led the King's Guard inside and closed the door behind himself. I confess I am curious with your request, Sir Jaime, Ned said once the silence stretched. I thought that after your report you would be eager to return to Dragonstone. But instead you've told your ship you're staying longer and did not give a departure date. I wonder why that is. Jaime cleared his throat. I heard something in town. You heard something in town? Ned turned from the window and sat back at his desk. Something about your sister, perhaps? Cersei is in Casterly Rock, Jaime said, frowning. Ned raised an eyebrow, but saw the sincerity on the other man's face. So what did you hear, then, that would make you give up your travel plans and stay longer? Leaving the prince and princess alone in Dragonstone, I might add. I dare say Lord Stannis is the one most interested in not seeing harm befall his niece and nephew. I needed to check the rumour I heard. And once I checked and rechecked, I needed to figure out a way to tell you. Ned was getting anxious now. Jaime Lannister had heard a rumour that had scared him into not going back to his remaining children and staying in town to verify it, as well as to go to a man that certainly was no friend to report it. You have my attention, Sir Jaime. Speak. The knight took a deep breath to gather his thoughts. He thought about writing to his father, since Tywin knew about his reason for killing Aerys. But even if he would come back to King's Landing to deal with it, he would take at least another 3 moons to arrive, and it would have to deal with Robert's discontent once he did. Therefore, Jaime had realised with no small amount of dread, he was left with the option of trusting Ned Stark. Wildfire. Ned stiffened. What about Wildfire? It's being produced again. The guild is hiring a lot of people, and they are producing it in large quantities. I don't know how, or... I thought I had stopped it. I thought I had... Wait a moment.
Ned said, raising a hand. One thing at a time. You heard the guild is producing it, and that's the rumour that kept you in town? Yes. I stood watch by the guild hall for 2 days. At least 20 different workers come and go every day, and food is delivered for about 40 people.
Ned exhaled, sitting back in his chair.
You're sure?
He asked, and Jamie nodded.
I'll send the city watch. No! You can't tell them! You don't understand, they...
Jamie took a deep breath and exhaled.
The day of the sack, when you got to the throne room. We both know what you saw.
The night went on, and Ned frowned, confused with the change in topic.
I killed Aerys Targaryen. I know that. You know that. Everyone knows that. What you don't know is why. Tell me,
Ned said, a heavy feeling sinking his stomach.
My father lied his way through the gates. The city watch led the Lannister army through because my father said he was here to join the royalists. But once the sacking began, when word made it to the Red Keep, the Mad King issued 2 orders. I was to go and bring him my father's head, while his hand, the pyromancer Rossart, was to go and send word to ignite the caches. Wildfire catches.
Jamie sighed, not surprised that Ned was horrified.
I was frozen in place, as the Mad King laughed and waxed on about his plan. Caches hidden below the Sept of Baelor, the Dragon Pit, the Red Keep itself. God knows where else. He would burn the entire city before the rebels took it. Rossart laughed, saying not one stone would be left standing. So I killed him. Rossart first, and then Aerys. In order to blow up the city, the order to blow up the city never left the throne room. In the days after, I tracked down the other 2 senior members of the guild and killed them as well, hoping the secret would die with them. It seems I was wrong.
Ned actually felt his chin open in shock. But as terrible as it was, the story was so fantastic. So, what cause would Jaime Lannister have to make up such a tale?
Why did you never tell anyone? He asked, and Jaime snorted. Panic. My father said the capital was finally secure, that things were finally stable, and that this would only make people panic. He said he would destroy the remaining caches, and no one would be any the wiser. He always hated that I became a king's guard. Honestly, I later found out the Mad King didn't do it for my skill. But I was where I always wanted to be. My father hoped that, by killing the Mad King, Robert would be grateful to reward me, or at least not trust me to guard him, unlike that I would be excused from the Brotherhood. But I chose to stay, and by then it was too late to change the story. But that is why you can't send the city watch there, because they will find the new caches and the city will rise in panic. Ned took a moment to think. The Mad King's caches. Were they destroyed? My father said... I'm not asking what Tywin Lannister said. Ned cut in. I'm asking whether or not they were destroyed.
Jaime clenched his jaws, but knew this matter was too important for family loyalty.
My father said he would see them destroyed. I did not question further. I did not see them destroyed, and he never confirmed that they had been. He said he would take care of it, and I never asked again. So it's possible they're still underneath us right now. Why would the guild be making more if the old ones were still there? More destruction,
Ned said, though he had to admit something did not make sense. If the Lannisters were plotting to use wildfire, why would Cersei be on her way? Unless she wasn't coming to King's Landing. The little bird had brought the news they were heading down the Gold Road, and they assumed she was on her way to the capital. But she might as well be ready to set a siege while someone blew up the city. Why come to me, though? Ned asked. Whatever our issues, Lord Stark, I do believe you will do the right thing for the city. This rumour you heard, Ned continued. Where did you hear it? Who hired the guild? I don't know, and I don't have the means to find out.
So, in the end, you could be lying to me, Ned said. To what end? Jamie was outraged. All I wanted was to stay in Dragonstone, in peace. But I had to come here to give my report any messenger could bring, only for the sake of appearances. Do you really think I wanted to spend one more day in this god-forsaken castle? Forgive me if I find it odd that you would come to me with this, Sir Jamie, but I find it harder to trust any Lannisters. Jamie snorted, furious. You think it was easy? Deciding to come to you? To trust you? We may not be in open war, but don't think I don't know our families are as close to enemies as we can be outside the battlefield. But go on, send your men to investigate. Or ignore me. Do as you will. I will be in town for 2 more days if you feel like realising I'm right.
With that, he burst out of the room. Ned looked over to the rug in front of the fireplace, from where Silver was looking at him with clear disapproval.
Don't make that face, he grumbled. I don't trust him.
The direwolf stretched and stood, crossing the solar and scratching the door, waiting patiently to be let out.
Ned sighed. Jory, he called. Gather the men. It seems we have an uncomfortable hunting mission to undertake.
When Dany woke up, she was no longer feeling the chills of fever or the nausea that had followed her for weeks. She frowned, taking stock of the room around her. They were not in the inn. That was for certain. She was lying in a large 4-poster bed with red silk sheets and a red canopy, and she was wearing a very comfortable red silk nightgown. "Your Grace! You're awake!" Missandei said, standing from the armchair by the fireplace. "Where are we?" Dany asked. "In the Red Temple, Your Grace. The Archmaester convinced Captain Mero to bring you in for treatment, especially once he passed out. The healers here tended to you, overseen by the Archmaester." "Do you feel better?" "Yes," Dany said. "Much better. How long was I asleep?" "Only the day, Your Grace. It's sunset now." Missandei pointed out of the window. Dany was thrilled she was feeling better, of course, though she was curious as to what potions these healers had used in order to get her this much better so quickly. The door opened, and Archmaester Marwyn and a tall woman came in, followed by a servant, who dropped a tray next to her bed and quickly left. The woman wore a red dress and a familiar necklace, both nearly identical to Melisandre's. "You're a red priestess," Dany said. "My name is Kinvara, my queen, and I am the High Priestess of the Red Temple of Volantis, the Flame of Truth, the Light of Wisdom, and first servant of the Lord of Light." "And I am no queen," Dany said, throwing her legs off the bed and accepting gladly the silk robe Missandei offered. Her legs were still a bit unsure, but Dany stood anyway. Marwyn bit his lip, uncomfortable. He happened to know that, if Robert Baratheon was taken from the throne, Dany was queen by right of marriage, though he didn't feel like making such a revelation, not when they were being told Jon Starling was dead, because if he was, and the children with him, then Daenerys was queen by right of birth. Unless, of course, her brother suddenly appeared. But Kinvara smiled, as if she was aware of a little secret. "Perhaps you do not know yet, my queen, but you are. You are the one the Lord promised us. You are his chosen one." "That is odd," Dany said with a snort. "One of your fellow priestesses, Lady Melisandre, has been a guest for a few years now. She claims my husband is such a man, the prince who was promised by R'hllor in an ancient prophecy." Melisandre said she was drawn to the Blessed Island by visions in the flames. We interpreted it as Lord Starling after the Lord of Light graced him with a second life. But now, you are the last Targaryen, my queen. The blood of dragons runs in your veins, and dragons are fire made flesh. Who else would be the Lord's promised one, but the one who has fire in her veins? "I thought the prophecy spoke of a promised prince," Dany said. "As you can see, I am no prince, and you happen to be calling me queen." "Forgive me, your grace," Missandei cut in, "but that word in Valyrian has no gender." Dany turned to her. "What?" delirios kivio ikisen. Melisandre said, delirios might translate to either prince or princess, your grace, differently than the words are for king and queen, which are discerned by gender. Dalia is queen, and Dalis is king. So the most accurate translation would be the prince or princess who was promised.
Aemon spoke of this, Marwyn said. When Rhaegar fell, he did wonder about the mistranslation, because, as far as he knew, you were the last Targaryen. And, he thought, it adds to his theory that Rhaegar was the promised prince, because he never became king.
My uncle knows about this, Dany asked, and Marwyn nodded.
You see, my queen, everything in this world seeks balance, Kinvara said. For every birth, there is one death. For every cry, there is one joy, and so on. R'hllor, the Lord of Light, is the power of the flames, the fire god. But even he, as powerful as he is, has a foil. The Great Other, or as the free folk call him, the Night King, the one whose powers come from ice and shadows.
Who is he? Dany asked.
His name cannot be spoken. Such is his evilness.
That seems silly, Dany said. If I am too busy trembling at the sound of a name, I am not thinking on how to defeat him.
Your words are wise, my queen, the Red Priestess said, smiling. But when dealing with magic, the mere utterance of a name might be an invocation. I do not know what sent the Great Other into slumber, so many thousands of years ago, but I know he was prophesied to return. To defeat him, the Lord of Light promised a prince, or a princess, as it turns out.
Born amidst salt and smoke, yes, so Melisandre told us, Dany said.
Exactly, Kinvara said. And the chosen one will forge a flaming sword Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes, and raise dragons from stone. Azor Ahai! This is one of the chosen one's name, Marwyn said, and this person, prince or princess, was prophesied to forge the sword by tempering it, like the first time, in the blood of his first wife, Nissa.
Dany looked sharply at him. At the wall, Melisandre named Lord Starling the chosen one, she said slowly. And you said my uncle believes in this prophecy.
She wasn't sure she could deal with such betrayal, but Marwyn only smiled. Not so literally, your grace. He believes in a symbolic interpretation.
The Archmaester shared what the sellsword spoke of your husband and other children, my queen,
Kinvara said. The flames do not show me the Midnight Fortress, so I cannot confirm or deny their claims. But I can confirm you are not the last Targaryen, Maester Aemon notwithstanding.
You mean my brother Viserys?
I mean the child in your belly, the Red Priestess revealed.
Dany gasped, wrapping both hands protectively around her middle.
Are you certain?
The Red Priestess nodded.
Marwyn thought about the mess they were in. Now that Daenerys was pregnant, she was no longer the Queen Regnant. Couldn't be. If the Midnight Fortress had fallen, then she was Queen Dowager, regent for her unborn child, the king's child. But if Jon survived, he decided to keep this a little secret a while longer. At least until he knew more where they were being taken to and why.
My lady, you just said your lord chose me, Dany said. Does that mean you will aid me? Help me get away from my captors?
I will aid you, Daenerys Stormborn, the priestess smiled. But not, I'm afraid, in the way you would like me to. The midwives discovered the reason for your sickness, an imbalance due to your pregnancy. It's rare, but they have a tonic that should allow your stomach to settle now. Thus you will grow stronger.
I have never felt this before, and this is my 4th pregnancy.
The first one in which you were aboard choppy seas for long, I am sure. That weighed the odds against you. But the point is that the flames are unanimous. Your destiny is not in Volantis, my queen. You must go on.
I can go on by returning to Westeros.
I am quite certain that will happen at some point, Kinvara said, but the flames show you going somewhere else first.
I tire of this, my lady, Daenerys said. Will you help me or not? Kinvara poured a vial out of her dress. When all seemed lost, drink this. Only strong children and strong women benefit from it. But you do not strike me as weak. Your babe is as safe as I can make it, my queen, but I am afraid I cannot release you. Not only doing as much would come as a great cost of myself and my temple, but the sellswords are holding a lot of people as hostages until you are safely returned to them. Innocents, men, women, and children. Dany nodded, disappointed, but couldn't hold it against the Red Priestess. Remember this now, Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen. You are the fire, daughter of dragons, bride of dragons, mother of dragons. Kinvara smiled. Now, if you will come with me, I know of some people who would perhaps render some assistance to you. He heard of you years ago, and was curious enough to come and meet you. If you would be so kind to lend me a dress, my lady, Dany said, a smile forming. We will wait for you in the corridor, my queen, Kinvara said, and she and the Archmaester were gone. Come, your grace, Missandei called. If you sit at the vanity, you can eat as I braid your hair. Then I'll help you dress. Dany agreed, happy that the food consisted of a filling broth and soft bread, but nothing too heavy. Missandei pushed a large-looking glass in front of her, and once she was dressed, Dany couldn't help but admire herself. If before wearing red would be a risk not worth taking, now the danger came from a different source. Nothing as trifling or inconsequential as colours. The dress was also very different from her usual ones, following the Essosi style. It was deep red, like blood, from shoulder to shoulder, sleeveless, though with a circular opening on her upper chest, and at her hips the skirts opened in a black silken pleat. She looked like a true Targaryen, proud of her house colours now. Smiling, she left the room and followed Kinvara as she led them into a small meeting room. There were 4 men and a woman inside, and Dany recognised them immediately. Dothraki. She missed Irri more acutely now, though she was glad she wasn't here. If she had been a Dothraki slave, it was better she was nowhere near these people. Her Grace, Queen Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, Missandei announced in Dothraki. This is Khal Drogo, son of Babbo, the Dothraki girl announced in a shy voice and a very accented common tongue. Our hostess informed me you were curious to meet me, Dany said in Dothraki, shocking everyone in the room. The Khal smiled, though, his black eyes approving.
Years ago, a big man came to me with an offer of his sister in exchange for my army to conquer his kingdoms, Drogo said. I said I would think about it when I saw the sister. But he said you were a prisoner, and rescuing you was part of the deal. Yes, I was curious.
My brother informed me of such plans, but I was already married, and I was never a prisoner. The men laughed, joking about the lying pink man. Drogo silenced them with a look for after a moment.
Your husband lives?
I am married, Dany insisted, and I know Khals are warlords.
I am, Drogo said, pulling his braid before him. Never lost a battle, but I don't battle for nothing.
Dany smiled. I was taken from my home against my will. I don't intend to let the man who took me get away with it.
You want my warriors to fight for you, Drogo said. We fight, but we fight for strength, not for gold.
Missandei touched Dany's arm and whispered into her ear in the common tongue, making Dany smile. The Dothraki girl shrugged, seeing it was too far, and Dany understood she had been brought as a translator. I understand you are not sellswords, and I am not offering my possessions as payment. I am offering a fight, and, if you have the strength to win, you may take the enemy's possessions. That is the way of the Dothraki, is it not? She asked in their tongue, and they nodded. The men who took me also looted mine and my husband's stores. They have bags and bags of salt in their holds, worth quite a lot of gold. Once I am free, I will claim 1 ship, with supplies and the men to sail as a means to return home. You may claim the rest.
Dothraki don't sail, one of the warriors said. Dothraki don't want or need ships.
Ships are expensive, Danny said. I know because my husband and I own a few. In a city this big, you can sell it to a profit and have a lot of gold on your hands. She stiffened, feeling movement at her back, and turned quickly, the dagger out and at the boy's neck. She missed her old dagger, but Adam's lessons remained, even with this borrowed one. Missandei gasped, probably not having even noticed that Danny had picked it up from her vanity and hidden it in her dress. She pushed the blade against the boy's neck, forcing him to kneel before her. Then one of the blood riders came and pulled the boy away, breaking his neck in the process. The warriors were clearly impressed with her. She recognized the sellsword tattoo, though. My captors already suspect something, Danny said. You don't have long to decide. Drogo looked at her, and Danny saw his black eyes evaluating her. She was beautiful, proud, poised and elegant. And she had proven her strength.
My man will fight for you, Khaleesi of the West.
Danny smiled. I prefer to think of it as two friends helping each other. You will have your fight and your gold, and I get to go home.
Drogo nodded and smiled.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I like this one. Danny's fully embracing fire and blood, but she's not fully there yet. She's getting there though. I love it. And I want to say something in this. In this fic, she and Drogo are friendly. Basically, they're colleagues. It is a friendly alliance. There is nothing romantic or sexual there. She impresses him with her internal strength rather than anything physical, which I find really nice. Also, Jason Momoa was so amazing to Emilia Clarke during this. He was amazing to her. I love that. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.